From now on, drop all your burdens of preconceived conclusions behind and open yourself to everything and everyone ahead. Remember, my friend, the usefulness of the cup is in its emptiness. Friends and grasshoppers, this is the Formless Podcast number 135 with me, Dustin, and my good friend Randel Davis of Kung Fu Conversations and Red Forest Chinese Boxing. Sir, how are you today?
Pretty fantastic. How about yourself, my friend?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Yeah.
This week has been full of emotional ups and downs, and I get excited when I get to do a podcast because it's fun.
Yes.
And I did 2 this week. This is my second one. So, but just like the stresses of work and life and everything, kind of knocks you down a little bit, but back on top, getting going, and just try to remember that those things are temporary. This too shall pass. So, and the weather hasn't been helpful. It's been raining and snow and just everything in between. And so got a little break in the weather, and my attitude, the sun came out for a little bit and my spirits lifted. So we're good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Good to hear.
Yeah. So Randel, we've done this once before. You do Wing Chun primarily.
Yeah.
Correct?
Primarily. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Also, I've got to experience some of your teaching firsthand, which I was pleasantly surprised and excited to do, and very, very fun, informative, not just like a good time, but also fun, but informative too. It made sense, which works. I look forward to it.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a special treat. That's for sure.
We'll have to do it a couple more times before I get out there and do it in person with you.
Yes. Yeah. And we've pretty much got the green light, to do it. So that's exciting. Probably this summer sometime. We just got to figure out the logistical issues. So
sounds good to me. So I got a question. Okay. I know it's your show, but I got a podcast too.
Perfect.
What was it about that little bit of teaching that I did with you that surprised you, or you gravitated towards, or that made sense to you?
So it was for one, the style that we train it's like 2 branches of the same tree, to use a Miyagi-Do reference there.
Sure.
So our sister art or father art or whatever is based off of some of the principles and concepts and techniques, which I didn't realize until training with you. A lot of the techniques we use, some of them the same exact application, some of them a little bit different application, but a different name. So it was like if you're a jazz musician and you're playing in the big band, but you get together on the weekends with 3 guys and you play like a small bop session. It was like that same kind of thing, but just enough difference to be like, oh, this is a different thing. So, and I've always wanted to do Wing Chun. I've always wanted to train it. It's just, I found one guy here in town about 20 years ago. And by the time I got the funds and the time together, he was gone. And it just didn't happen. But yeah, but as far as like your teaching, it was understandable. It was direct, but it clicked for me, and it was
yes,
yeah. It wasn't like intense calculus or something like that. I use calculus because my oldest is taking a bunch of math classes that I once you start adding letters and formulas in there, I'm lost. But it you explain things. And okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna put our arm here. This is why. Blah blah blah. It just it was like, oh, okay. There's no guessing. It works, and it clicked for me. And I appreciate that style. Like, there are some people that'll if they know something you don't know, they may talk down to you, or they may,
Sure. Yeah.
That was not the case. You were like, you just explained it. And if it was something I understood, we moved on. If I didn't get it, it was like, okay, well, we're doing it because of these reasons. That this whole process is like that. And it was just awesome. It was super fun.
Super good to hear. One of my things that if I'm going to criticize the community at large, I think there is too much of that downspeak. If a student doesn't get it right away, I think some of that old secrecy, it's like, well, you have to be smart enough to know this. And, one of my favorite guys, I'm going to hold up his book, Sifu Russ Smith, Principle Driven Skill Development, Teaching 101. Sifu Russ talks about teaching being inherently a second set of skills than whatever you're teaching. And so it's taken me, I've been in Wing Chun almost 30 years. And I've been teaching it for about 24. But I would say that developing the voice and how I stack my teaching to make it coherent and to coalesce, that process I'm always still working on, because it's a principle-based method. And when you have a principle-based method, sometimes you can take something from the end and put it at the beginning. But if you present it as, well, we're going to use this as a warm-up drill, then I don't need to tell you later on that it's like, okay, these are actually the elbows that we use in the third form. But I can just show you, hey, you're using it as a warm-up drill because it's a dynamic movement. And all of a sudden you get some dynamic movement in your body and you're moving up and down. And then later down the road, I can plug in the martial application and things like that. But yeah, as far as a greater whole and the teaching process, I think I'm okay with secrecy to a point, because sometimes the student's not ready for information.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
If it's new, then they need time to train it. They need time to develop it. They need time to integrate it in their body. But if it's someone that's a long-term practitioner, and you said that your system had some Wing Chun roots in it, and then we started right away, I wasn't afraid to give you explanation. It's your job, if you're going to try to integrate it into stuff you do, to practice it around those ideas and principles. I can make the introduction to teaching and Wing Chun, I'm always trying to make that better. I'm not trying to give everybody information up front at once. I'm trying to give the new student just enough to get a good flavor of what the whole thing is. And that doesn't mean 30 things. It might be 4 things looked at 5 different ways. Okay. And I think that is good teaching. If you have a large hammer, a small hammer, a framing hammer, a hammer if you have 12 different hammers for 12 different jobs, then why don't you learn how to use a hammer better? And then maybe you can do 12 different jobs with that one tool.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of view Wing Chun. Do you know what the Dremel Moto tool is, Dustin?
Yes, I do.
I very much look at Wing Chun as being the Dremel Moto tool. And, the bits may change, the hand shapes and whatever, but what's behind it and the structure and the posture and the stance, that can also change, but not a lot. In the first form, you just stand there and you're working on your stance. You're working on your posture in your first form in Wing Chun. But it's the hands that are doing all the movement in that form. And people think, well, the spine and the feet don't move, so obviously you're not training those. What? How could that be a disconnect in somebody? I think sometimes we need to be pointed out these concepts, because one of my jokes with really good Chinese martial arts, they hide everything in plain sight. If you know what to look for, then you're going to find more detail and more quality information inside of something that you've been doing for years and years and years and years. And it might not necessarily be, Dustin, an application. I was talking to my friend. I've got a young man that I mention a lot on the show, John Rubio, and he's like my kung fu cousin in Wing Chun.
Okay.
And one of the first times I ever worked with John, and he's like, "Well, how do you apply this? How do you apply that?" And he's looking for, if they throw a cross, I might throw this up and then do lop sao and attack. Or if they throw a cross this way, maybe I'll do mon sao and get on the inside to attack this way. And I'm like, "Well, what about managing space and distance and timing?" He's like, "What's that?" He's like, "I know what that is, but
like,
what do you mean?" But
in this context,
yeah. I'm like, well, if I'm managing this distance and this space, that's my application. How to deal with space. Don't you know how to apply management of space? Or if I'm going from an alternating hand timing to a paired hand timing, now I'm dealing with space and timing and distance. And so that was maybe his second or third lesson with me. That was a big light bulb moment for him. He's like, "You're applying space and applying time." He's like, "I don't quite get it." I'm like, "Well, you're a drummer." And the second I said you're a drummer, he's like, bing, you could see the light go off. I'm like, where your hand positions are on that drum set dictates where that next cymbal can be hit, where that next tom-tom can come down. Are you doing classical grip or are you doing the modern grip? And so all of a sudden I started equating that back over to something else he knows that he's been doing his whole life, and he does it in a formulaic manner. I'm like, Wing Chun is also formulaic, and so we started working on that. So that's my approach. I've done 28 years with my Sifu Mayor in the Wong Q method, and Wong Q was a civil engineer. He was one of the college educated guys in Yip Man's arsenal of really high level students. And when my Sifu met him, my Sifu was an architectural engineer, so it was a meeting of the minds. And then since then, Sifu Mayer's gone on to get a PhD in educational psychology and cognitive development. And so the way he taught me is Wing Chun is not only structural and systemized, but it's a problem-solving set. And not just solving problems with your fists, but learning how to take something that you think is only given you 2 answers and find 5 or 6 more answers in the middle of that. And so, yeah, that was a little long-winded way to say that I'm used to the formulaic process and method. And so I've had to take calculus and boil it down. And you know what really makes calculus make sense? Geometry. Mm-hmm. Because algebra is like, why are you using my letters like that? But all of a sudden you start using geometry, you're like, wait, these are things that are in the tangible world. I can understand why we're doing this now. And so there's a physical taste and quality to that weird equation. Okay, that's where the rubber hits the road. Get good at geometry, then dabble in your algebra, and then all of a sudden relook at calculus, because calculus is a down the road thing. You know what I mean? That's where you're looking at, not only is this a high outside rising block, but I can hit somebody in the neck with this. Or I can pop if I've got this hand and I'm pulling on their arm and I've got the back of their elbow, I can snap somebody's elbow on the backside with this same motion. And if I can use it high, I can use it low.
Yeah.
And if I can use it high and low, I can use it in the middle. And if I can use it inside of the person, I can use it on the outside. Well, all of a sudden, if I'm pulling that far hand and I get semi behind you, I'm using this as a hammer fist to the back of the head. Or I can hammer fist to the side of the head. But it's all emotion that we've seen over and over again. The classical high rising block in karate.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, if you use it in different contexts, I love talking to Sifu Russ because he does Wuzu Kwan, but he also does Goju Ryu. He's like, one of our big tenets in Wuzu Kwan is, I'm not just blocking your arm. If I make contact or a bridge, if you will, with the force that you're giving me, I'm trying to get a hold of your whole body and uproot you with this rolling motion. So I'm trying to attack your balance. And that's that multi-usage of one tool,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. How cool. How cool. Yeah, the teaching thing, it's fun. We get a lot of people who have no experience martial arts
Sure.
wise, and so they get frustrated trying to learn some new thing. And I'm going, well, you're one of my go-tos is usually like, we're talking about doing something. You're asking your body to do something that it has not done. Maybe something
100%.
similar, but for the most part, a lot of this stuff, we don't use our feet that way. We don't use our arms like this.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to learn a new skill especially for the first time. It's brand new. I said, if I stuck you in an airplane or a helicopter,
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
you even get off the ground? And I've had one guy go, well, I do have my pilot's license. I'm like, okay.
It didn't work with that
Yeah,
guy, but
yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
usually after something like that, they kind of it clicks. They go, "Oh, okay, so this is brand new, all new stuff. Got to dabble with this for a little bit and figure it out."
It's funny while you were saying that, Dustin, I
Yeah.
just realized something. It allows you to have grace and patience with yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe that's why we need to try different things. The core of me will always be Wing Chun, and I also like Chinese martial arts, but I'm not even talking in a martial context. Maybe it's time to pick up watercolor. I've always been interested in watercolor. When I was younger in middle school, I was a big like the New Yorker, the black and white
Yes.
cartoons,
Yeah.
and then that, and the I call it the Drew Littleton. Actually, you don't know, he's one of our famous Denver sports cartoon doodlers.
Oh, okay.
I used to do that style of cartooning in
Right
middle
on.
school. I did it in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade because I was always fascinated by it. And I had like 24 different styles of pens. Now I was talking about the one hammer,
Yes.
but I
Yeah.
got the 24 different kinds of pens. But I loved it. I did it for consistently for 3 or 4 years, and I stopped. And now I've got a vacation coming up in April. I've got money saved, and I've already got my doodle easel and everything like that.
Yeah.
I'm getting back into it
Right
because I
on.
loved it. And so I think, you know, being able to give grace to ourselves and then to be a good enough sensei, sifu, guru, whatever title, coach for me, to understand, hey, have some patience with this stuff. These master piano players took a lifetime to develop this skill. And if you really fall in love with this, you're going to be doing these things for the rest of your life.
Yeah. You got a long time to get better. Yeah.
It's that instant gratification, I think, that we want right away. We want to be good at
Absolutely.
that stuff right out the gun, don't we?
Absolutely. And, it's funny you mentioned that. We want to be good. And, I've been doing this for a while now. And you think after 10, 12 years consistently, you'd think, well, yeah, you got to be fairly good. You got to kind of know what you're doing after a certain period of time. And then I start thinking about, well, when's the last time I practiced? When's the last time I've actually trained? Well, I trained Monday. I trained Thursday. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, but so I've done it pretty consistently now every day. I try and do at least 10 minutes. So it might right now
Beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
right now for me, it's just shadow boxing because I've got a hernia. So
Oh no.
yeah, not doing a lot of sparring. I do some, but very, very light and with certain people.
People.
But yeah, so like I just shadow box every morning
Beautiful.
before I get ready for work, and just I put on some Spotify, listen to some music, 2 or 3 songs, do my thing, and I feel better. But now now I feel like, okay, now I can say I'm consistently working at it,
Good.
not just a few days a week. I mean,
Good.
before it was serious, but like now I'm like, okay, if I want to be a good good podcaster. You got to do it consistently. You got to work at it. If I want to be a pilot, I got to work at it consistently. I can't just take one lesson a week or one lesson a month and expect to get a pilot's license at the end of the, 2 months down the road. You got to put some time in, put some work in. And so that's been.
Do you guys have weapons?
We don't typically have them in the system. So the history of our system was started in the early 60s in Portland, Oregon. And the whole idea of it was to win martial arts tournaments.
Oh, I got a story for you in a minute. Go ahead. Yeah.
So if you're familiar with a lot of Dan Anderson, he was a mid-70s tournament champion. Went all over the country. He was on oh gosh, what's the martial arts podcast?
Whistle Kick?
No. The guy, he's in Minnesota. He does
Everyday Martial Artist.
Everyday Martial Artist. He was on one of those episodes.
I was on that.
Yes, you were. I was on that show.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah. I actually met. It's funny because we're gonna keep this between you, me, and the trees.
Yeah.
But now everyone's gonna know, right? There's a great episode with one of my new buddies, Matthew Apsicardu.
Oh.
And Matthew does a style of Okinawan Kempo.
Oh.
And he goes over to Okinawa once a year. And he's here in Longmont with me, and he's got a publishing company too. He has maybe one of the greatest, and I think you'd love this because you can find quotes.
Yeah.
And you can find philosophy. He has a great blog spot. It's called Ikigai Way. Ikigai is a Japanese word about kind of how to organize your life and live it to the best fulfillment through organization of life. And so Ikigai Way is the way of organizing, life. But he's got great interviews on there.
Okay.
And just amazing philosophy and stuff like that. But what a cool show, Brian.
Yeah. He's had some
goofy martial arts, amazing people
on there.
And then he drops weekly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He's
crazy.
It's a tough gig to do that every week. So far this year, we've done one every week. So yeah, that was the goal for this year. And I think so far we're on track, but So anyway, the whole system, the whole thing was designed to win tournaments, to fight in tournaments and stuff. And it didn't do a whole lot of weapons. Later on, a few guys that were in the system met Remy Priestess, Modern Arnis, and they went hog wild with it. And so we do that. We have a set of classes for that, but we don't really they blend sometimes. There's a couple of guys. There's a gentleman in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm sorry, I'm getting all excited. In Green Bay, Wisconsin, Mr. Herb Blue, who was my first martial arts instructor. We're going to have him on next Saturday, talking to him. He trained with Remy Priestess. He's an Arnistador. And he's got some awesome stories. Really good guy. But he does Wing Dao and he does Arnis.
That's awesome. That's one of the things that kept me sane. I actually use these for my Wing Chun knives sometimes.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
are those
charcuterie boards?
Are they cutting boards?
Little bread boards, charcuterie boards. Yeah. You can do all that because they got a handle. But that's one of the things. Like if I'm injured or if I'm sick, I'll pull out one of the weapons and do just like a little bit of training with that. As a matter of fact, I taught the knives for 2.5 hours today.
Oh,
and then after I hang out with you, I've got to run something into Boulder real quick. And then I'm going to come back because it's interesting. You said that you were talking about practice and there are students that I have that are far enough along that my teaching is practicing with them. They are working with me, but most of the time, like today, that was a big introduction to the knives. So I was teacher. So now when I get back after Boulder, I trained really hard yesterday for a couple hours. Today, I'm just going to do some like joint mobility and stuff like that. And I'll probably go through either the knife form or the long pole form and then Sutum Tao a couple times. So I've got an hour of my own personal practice. And so you have to look at class time as, I look at my class time, and this is how I teach. This isn't for everybody, but my class time is I'm working on making you better and passing on the knowledge and helping you develop the skill, but I'm also teaching you how to train on your own. And then when you come back with your own training, you should find questions for me. And then I will help fill in those concepts and theories where you need that. But I also have to have time to train myself. I've worked with some folks in the past that ran a school that they only trained once a week themselves. And I'm like, you're taking all this money from these parents and these kids, and you're not actually doing the work yourself. And these are diminishing skills, Dustin. You're injured right now.
Yeah.
Right. You and I are not old men. We're very much the same age, but we're not young men either. And so we don't have that mutant healing factor. We don't have our Wolverine blood like we used to when we were younger. So when we are injured, we need to know how to either dial our practice down, like for you, and then when you're feeling good and you're coming back and you go through therapy or whatever you need to do, once you become, Dustin, 1.2, then you have to know how to take your practice and dial it up again to get you back into Wing Dao, Dustin. It's not just a physical shape, but the expression of what makes Wing Dao, and that relationship that Dustin has in his body and his mind with the Wing Dao. So yeah, it's just the whole process of teaching and training, and I think this goes along with anything. It's just a fascinating dynamic. And I think that the best teachers are the ones that are still practicing.
Yes, absolutely. And the goal is to get better, right? Like I want the people I work with to get better. So then now can't let them get ahead. I got to keep up.
That's exactly right. Or, you can look at it as a community where everybody helps each other.
Yes.
Continually move up the rung. And that's weird because if you think about it, not all of them, but I got that dynamic model from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've dabbled in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a little bit, but I've got a friend of, I call him a friend, but Josh McKinney has the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Josh McKinney. And it's a great show. And he talks about that all the time. He's like, hey, we're here to make each other better. I'm not here to break your arm. I'm not here to choke you out every single day. I need to make you better at jiu-jitsu. And if I'm injuring you every other week, I'm not helping you out. And frankly, I'm not helping myself out. Well, and so, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say exactly 100%. I always joke, we got to work the next day. Some of us, most of us have jobs. So if you break my arm, then I can't work. And if I can't work, I can't pay to train. And so
that's right. It's a dynamic. And I think, that we were talking about where we are, how long we are in the system.
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot on Kung Fu conversations, especially with the Wing Chun. One of the first hands that everyone learns is Pak Sao, right?
Yeah.
And I've done this movement for almost 30 years, and I can put a lot of force and pressure behind it. And if I have somebody that, it's not hard to weigh less than I do. If I have, somebody come in that's 115 pounds and 5'5", which is my height, and I blast them with a Pak Sao just as hard as I can,
you're going to hurt
I'm
them.
not only I'm going to hurt them, one, and two, I might lose not only a student, but somebody might walk away from me that actually needed the training, not just for self-defense, but self-development.
Yeah.
And, to find confidence and do all the good stuff that martial arts is supposed to do. I might have hurt somebody in so many other ways that aren't just the physical, I just knocked the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And so they might have come to that school to learn how to be more confident, to move better, to, think better, to feel better. And I was like, no, I'm going to let my ego push somebody out the door, literally and figuratively. So, yeah, we have to be aware of that dynamic when we're teaching and developing a community. That's another responsibility of the teacher. It starts with you. You know, you're not laying down the law or anything, but you're being like, hey, just like you said, people are going to work tomorrow. Do we really want to go full force 100% of the time when we get into the classroom? So sorry, got a soapbox. You
No,
got me soapboxing. You got me soapboxing.
it's perfect. It's stuff to think about, though. It's stuff you don't normally think about, which is one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this whole thing. So, on one more thing on teaching, and then we'll
shift gears.
We'll shift gears a little bit. But I wanted to ask, and this is something I've been asking a lot of other guests lately, is if you could teach one thing from your system, that Wing Chun, and give somebody who has no idea what that is, what it is about, what would be the thing that you would teach?
Okay. It is my model of relaxation because I think too many people think that relaxation is limp, and relaxation is not limp. Relaxation is just the proper amount of force to get the job done. Right. And so I'll give you an example. When most people throw punches that have never thrown a punch, they will do it with tension.
Yeah. I've experienced
and to
this.
Yes. And so what happens is it's a lot like somebody thinking that they need to go in to their first day doing a bench press and max out. You don't know the motion. You don't know if you're doing it right or not. You have to get the motion down. And so it takes a long time of doing a motion without any tension. But you can't be limp because you can't hold the structure if you're completely limp. You are barely using enough force to get the proper posture, to keep the proper stance, and to move the hands correctly, however you're moving them, whether it be paired, alternating, or alternating forward and backwards, whatever that is, just enough to get it in your nervous system and train it over and over and over and over and over again, and in different contexts, not just training it into redundancy. And with different stimulus too. Maybe I might have a rookie on their first day go to the wooden dummy and actually do pock, 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 just nice and slow, get used to the sound. And then you add in a partner. Well, that's a different stimulus. A human being is totally different than a piece of wood. And then you do it in the air. And then you go back to the wood. And then you go back to a different partner. And then you do it in the air. The motion hasn't changed, but the sensory perception has changed because each thing is different. And every time you're doing something with your hands, you're also working on your posture, and you're also working on your stance and how to take force through the hands and redirect it down the spine into the feet to the floor. And so over time, you can add more force and more force and more force, force without tension. When the muscles are taut, that tells me when I touch you that I need to move and transition. That's how you turn somebody that is tense into the dummy. Because they are frozen into that shape. And so I'm just going to pull them, and I could just pull that arm and the whole thing moves because they're frozen into that shape because there's tension in their nervous system. There's tension in the musculature. There's tension even in the mind. And so when you can learn to relax and trust the shapes, then you can start to really do some cool transitions. Then it starts to look a little more actually like Kung Fu.
Yeah.
And so if I could teach something, it would be relaxation without being limp. And that is a quality in movement. That's not style specific. I teach that through the window of Wing Chun, but you can use that in Wing Do, you can use that in Karate, you can use that in Taekwondo, and it's a quality you're putting into the work that you're doing.
That's awesome. That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny. I've asked this a half dozen times or so, and you get just a myriad of different answers. But I think that's the kind of stuff I was looking for. So thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah, and that's more theoretical and principle based.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It requires more of this than the fist or the foot. It requires a bit of thought. You gotta. It's like, have you ever used a cold plunge?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to just dip your big toe in there and go slow, right? Because your brain's screaming like, "Get out! It's too cold." You just got to get in it, right?
Yeah.
So with that stuff, when I find people being super tense and they're rigid, it's like, okay, we're gonna start going until you quit thinking about it, and like, just get in this thing, and then like once you get the temperature of the water, once you understand that it's cold, you'll let go, and like you're not in danger right now, but. Yeah. I don't know why I said cold plunge. Probably because it's cold in the garage right now. But
well, it makes you stiff too.
Yes.
So I got one for you, and this is a drill. And then the audience can try this out too at home if they want to, if they're a teacher and they do martial arts. So how I love to show this, and it's an example, and it's an extreme example. And make sure whoever you're using, make sure that they're fit and in shape for this.
Okay.
Because I don't want anybody to hurt themselves. So what you have them do is like, okay, let's say Susie, she's 25 and she's back from grad school, and it's like, Susie does Pilates or whatever, and she's starting the Wing Do class. It's like, okay, Susie, you're going to be our example for this. Okay, Susie, I want you to flex every muscle in your body. Flex, flex, flex. And everyone can, cheer on like, flex, Susie, flex. And Susie's straining and she's straining. And I only let them do that for like 20 or 30 seconds. And I'm like, okay, hold that pose. Don't move. And I reach up with 2 fingers and I pull them over. And I'm like, you were using every muscle in your body, but you were just using them to as tense as can be. And I controlled you with 2 fingers. And so that starts to develop that light bulb moment to be like, aha. Well, 1, why did that happen? And 2, it happened through tension. And 3, I was using muscle. Well, maybe there's another way to hold on to the shape. And there's always going to be muscle involved. There's always going to be muscle.
Absolutely.
But not all of them. Not all of them. It's going to be the right muscles for the right task with the right tension and for the right way to pull. If you're pulling me this way, I might use a different muscle set than if you were pulling me this way, than if I was getting pulled this way, right?
Yeah.
Each time I'm going to use something different. For the front pull, I might use the stance because I have a lead leg, and I might resist you a little bit to the point where I go into you. Or if it's the side pull, I'm going to transition with it. Or if it's this pull, I'm going to transition with it and come back. So there are different ways to use these tension and forces. And that's kind of how I look at Wing Chun. It's almost like simple machines, right? Corkscrew, lever, pulley, wedge, right? These universal dynamics and concepts. And then I can apply them in hundreds of different ways. One shape should have hundreds of applications. As long as you know what a punch is, a kick is, an elbow, a counter, and a throw, then you've got so many different ways to set these shapes up for whatever task or function you need for those.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you can add things like angles and slips and
100%.
all of the seasonings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So one of the other things I like to ask people is, so you've done Wing Chun 20 something years, almost 30 years, you said?
Yeah.
What if money and time were no object or no barrier for entry, what other martial art would you train?
Well, I train one of them now.
Okay.
And that's Xingyi.
Okay, explain. What is Xingyi?
Xingyi, so there's a couple styles of it.
Okay.
So there is the oldest style. I believe that the 10 animals method is the oldest style. It's the 10 big shapes, 10 animals.
Okay.
Has actually Muslim roots, but the
Really?
Chinese Muslim. Yeah, yeah. I look at the Chinese Muslims a little, and the Muslims from the Middle East a little bit like I look at the Catholics and the Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
They're both they're both believe in Christ, and they both, give their life to Jesus, but the process
Is a little
is completely different. Yeah, very much so. The ending, the ending is this,
Yeah.
it's asking for forgiveness of sins and the love of Christ, but the process is very different. A little bit like the Tibetan Buddhists and the Zen Buddhists.
Okay.
Complete,
Yeah.
yeah. So I look at it that way. But I do the 5 elements, 12 animals method, which is it's not that much more modern. That's probably 400 or 500 years old.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's yeah. It's based upon, so Xingyi stands for shape, which is Xing. It sounds like a sword being drawn
Yeah,
out of a
okay.
Xing, and it looks like crossing on a crossing guard, Xing.
Oh, okay.
Xing. And then E, which is mind or intention. So it's shape mind or intention boxing or intention shape boxing,
Ah,
right?
right on.
So the mind and the body, you're trying to unify them in a central concept to produce a task. And then Xingyi is the oldest of the what's known as the internal arts in China. There's Xingyi, Tai Chi, and Bagua, which is the youngest. It's about 150 years old. Circle walking for the
Okay.
Bagua.
You
And
sent me some videos on that, which
yeah,
is
I'll
pretty
send you some
interesting
more.
stuff.
So the Xingyi is based upon the Wuxing. The Wuxing are the 5-element theory. Now the 5-element theory is more like 3 to 5,000 years old. I'm not sure, but it is old, old, old. And here are the 5 elements: metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. So it's very got much more of the it's got that Last Airbender feel to
I
it.
was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I call Xingyi the refined tractor.
Okay.
It's the refined tractor. So I got something for it. You guys have forms, don't you, Talu Kata?
No.
You have no forms.
So-
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll explain after.
So what would you think? How long a form is? Like, let's just say you're looking at a form-based system.
A minute, 2 minutes.
No, I mean, like, how many moves?
How
in
many
it?
movements? Oh, I guess probably a dozen, maybe 2, 3 dozen, 3 moves or 3 dozen moves.
3 moves.
3 moves.
Yeah. So in Xingyi, and the hands and the body are coordinated. So in Xingyi, I would split and my feet would be moving. So this is wrap, drill, and split. Now I've got the right side forward, and I would wrap, drill, and split. Now the left side is forward, and my feet would be moving.
Okay.
And it moves in a line. And so I could do that form from here to the moon and back.
So, okay.
And
So as you're moving your hands, you move your feet. You step forward.
That's right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Every time the hands are moving, the feet are moving. So that's a body integration. That's learning to coordinate your mass with the hands. And so everything is unified. But it's not like a block of wood. Think of it more like a high-level Rolex watch. If you take the faceplate off of a Rolex, there are 42 pieces of instruments that are moving. Those 42 pieces, Dustin, move those 3 little dials, those 3 little hands, right? That's what's going on in Xingyi. All the joints and the hips and the knee, that whole dynamic has a body coordination that takes a long time to develop. And in that body coordination, you'll find a power method, right? For splitting, which is metal, it's taking something up and bringing it down. For water, it's taking something down and bringing it up. Bung Chuan is a full body push-pull, which people are like, oh, that's just punching. I'm like, that's not all it is. For Pao Chuan, it takes something that's on the line and moves it outward. And Hung Chuan takes something off of the line and moves it in the line, right? And so it's spatial theory and dynamics. It's whole body power. It's good for the joints. It's good for the back. And if I had to compare Wing Chun and Xingyi, Wing Chun would be a sniper Zuzi. And then Xingyi, did you ever see The Expendables?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Terry Crews had that repeating 12 gauge.
Okay.
That's what Xingyi is.
Okay.
It's a building crasher. It's like, okay, there's my girlfriend and she's on the other side of the building. Well, I'm just going to knock this building down and then I'm going to get to my girlfriend. That's what it's like.
Okay.
Because you're using that full body force dynamic. As a matter of fact, it's based upon, well, legendarily, spear fighting. And so you've got a spear in your hands, right? You've got this spear and it's 13 feet out from the body. And so it can't be the arms that move the spear. It's the whole thing that moves it. And they said, well, what if we took that dynamic and put it in a striking and a boxing system? Yeah. And so I started doing that April of 2013 with my co-host.
Oh, okay.
Owen Schilling
right on.
of Kung Fu Conversations. And so that is my love. Now, if I had to do like a Chinese martial arts, because I have a flavor for them. I'm actually going to start dabbling a little bit into the Wuzu Quan with my friends Sifu Russ. And it's not, and not only do I like the Wuzu Quan, I love Russ. He's a great guy and I love how he teaches. And so as much as it is to learn something new, I probably won't do the whole system, right?
Yeah.
It's just a little bit to taste it. But I like how he teaches, and that's what I'm going to go goof around with the Wuzu Quan with. And then I really like systems. Like I don't have a Northern system in my repertoire. So I'd probably look at something like Baji or Tongbei. I've always kind of been interested in Tongbei. Wing Chun has kind of a whipping power,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like you got a towel in the locker room and you snap somebody on the tushy with it. Yeah. Tongbei's whole method is whipping, and it starts from the bottom of your feet and goes out through the whole body. And so, yeah, I call it the whole body sneeze. Yeah. But yeah, I feel lucky to be training the Xingyi. And then I've started Bagua 4 years ago with Owen, and all I know is a single palm change. I know a few of the Jiban Gongs or, the basic practices of Bagua, and I'm using that more like a body opening and a power development tool because, you're rotating the spine and the back, and then you're walking in that circle. And I found that for my 9-to-5 job, Dustin,
Mm-hmm.
which is driving the city bus, nothing gets deeper into my hips and my lower back than the Bagua practice. And so after sitting all day, I might come home
those joints.
Yeah. And so I'll do an hour of circle walking. I'll walk like 10 reps one way. I'll walk 10 reps the other. Then I'll do like some stretching, and then I'll walk 10 reps one way, 10 reps another. And I might do that for a couple hours till I feel like my joints are open and lubricated and I can live life good again.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
Right on. That's awesome. That is like right on the money. I'm glad that you said all of that because, we get wrapped up into the one thing. We do this. This is what we do. And for a lot of people, I think that's a common occurrence. But I look at I'm into martial arts in general, just the whole thing. If it's martial arts related,
100%.
I like it.
100%.
I'd rather watch that or do that than in probably anything else. But I also look at it like, if your favorite food's pizza, how long is it going to be? How many dinners are you going to go through eating pizza before you're like, can I have anything else?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So yeah, I got my favorite and I do that and I do it consistently, but I gotta go check out what makes this great and what makes that awesome,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's weird too because a lot of people that know me that are close to me, I will always love Wing Chun. I love practicing it. I love teaching it. But I
mhm.
have a voice for teaching it that I've developed, and I'm still working on it, still trying to get better. But if I had to have, and this might surprise you, if I had to have a favorite art, I would say it was Xingyi because it fits my temperament and my mood and my attitude a little bit more than Wing Chun. And I have a dark. I'm not married, so I get to say this. So
Yeah.
tell your wife I apologize. And if you guys ever get to Colorado, I'll buy dinner because
Right on.
I owe the married couples for this. Wing Chun is my wife of 28 years, and then Xingyi is this 25-year-old in a Corvette with the top down, and she's coming in playing Poison. She got the lipstick and the dress on, and she's like, "Hop in the car. I'm going to take you out for a steak dinner, my treat." I'm like, "Okay, yes, ma'am."
Yeah.
Xingyi's that for me.
Right
So
on.
yeah.
I love it. That's an awesome analogy. Very cool. Well, we all deserve that,
Yeah, amen.
Martial arts speaking, not
Yes,
yeah,
martially.
martially.
Yes, that
Yes, because my
I knew
wife
exactly
is
what
going
you
to
meant.
listen to this.
Yeah. That's why I said I'm buying dinner. So, did you
Right
have
on.
any other questions, my friend?
Just one last thing. I know.
Sure,
Uh, are you a fan of boxing? Like
100%.
Western boxing? Who's your
Yes.
favorite? Who's got your eye right now?
Oh, right now,
Yeah.
for the modern group, Terrence Crawford's my favorite, hands
Yeah.
down. And
Yeah.
I'm afraid Terrence is. I think Bud's going to retire. I,
Yeah.
I really do, and I think it's smart for him. He's almost 38. I want to say something like that, and I think it's time. I think after winning that last fight, he's solidified himself as the best boxer in the last 25 years. That could be argued. That's a preference thing. My sole favorite boxer of all time, and I have a few because I got to like Dempsey because he's the Manasseh Mauler. And if you don't have his book on boxing, everyone should go out. If you're a martial artist, doesn't matter if you like boxing or not,
You should get
pick
it.
up Jack Dempsey's book on boxing. It's absolutely brilliant. But my favorite boxer of all time was Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And Hagler, I wish you wouldn't have taken so many damn shots to the head. Yes, I know you had a hard head, Marvin, but God, I'd love to still have you around these days. His switch hitting ability is literally two styles. When he went from regular to southpaw,
Mm-hmm.
that is a different skill set. It is literally having two systems. It's having Wing Chun and Xingyi, and just by moving a foot, you're a completely different person. And it's all boxing. You know what I find so fascinating, and I love. I got to go on a tangent on this.
Yeah.
There's a Cuban style.
Uh huh.
There's a Japanese style of boxing. We know that there's the old Soviet, the cold block style of boxing.
Yeah.
There is a British style of boxing. There's an Irish style of boxing. There's a West Coast, Boston, New Jersey style of boxing. And what is it? It's a cross, it's a jab, it's a hook, and it's an uppercut.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And so I have a question for you,
Yeah.
and I'm going to give you my opinion on this. What do you think, just with those four punches, why they're different?
Well, it's how they're applied. It's
Yes.
it comes off of how it's applied. But I liken it to like if we both had a piece of paper and a pencil right now, and we were going to say draw a car or
Yeah, love it.
draw a piece of fruit. You might draw a lemon, and I might draw an apple. We're still
I love it.
drawing. We're still using a pen and paper. But how we apply that,
100%.
how we do that, what you like and what all of those things make it different. And
100%.
I love boxing for that simple reason. It's you got these 5 or 6 tools, and it's how I'm going to apply those 5 or 6 tools. Marvelous Marvin Hagler is. I'm glad you said that. I met him in high school. Yeah, he came to our school. He was fighting an exhibition fight in the 90s at the local Indian
That's amazing.
casino. And he
That's
came,
amazing.
dude, he arrived in a limo and was wearing a purple
Yep.
suit.
100%. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was,
Yeah. He was a superhero.
yeah,
Um, so pace, frequency, distance.
mm-hmm,
Some boxers fight at completely different distances.
yeah,
I mean, you look at Roberto Durand, he wanted to be on you and he wanted to be crushing you with body blows.
yeah.
You'll have distance fighters, Sugar Ray Leonard, handsome man, ripped, more shredded than a julienne salad, but he wanted to keep you away and he'd wear you out. And so that's style. You're developing style out of a system. So
Mm-hmm.
here's another way to look at it too. You know what else is interesting?
What's that?
This is going to go into a context that you and I understand too. And maybe the traditional Asian martial artists might understand this. Another way to differentiate boxing styles is how you set up your footwork to set up your strikes. It's the relationship between the legs and the fists. And the other one is how are you using your guard hands? Do you have an open guard? Do you have a closed guard? Do you have a staggered closed guard? You know what I'm saying? Do
Yeah,
you
I
have
know
are
exactly
you
what you're
are
saying.
you are you a Philly shell guy?
Yeah.
So that changes the relationship between the upper body and the lower body because now you have to have different patterns to launch your punches off of because of whatever boxing stance or yeah, whatever the hands are. The feet has to have a relationship with them. That circles right back to the Wing Chun stuff that we were working on earlier.
Yeah.
Before we go, I have to drop this.
Yeah.
If you love boxing, there is one man that has my heart, and he has hundreds of hours of free tutorials, and he is brilliant. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Fran Sands.
Yeah.
Fran Sands and my boxing coach. He has a free digital download book, and it is absolutely worth it. Yeah, get that download. Yeah, go on his website, myboxingcoach.com, and get the free book.
Okay.
And it is totally worth it. And then here's the other thing too, though. Again, I said he's got hundreds of free hours of tutorials. Another great podcast out there, Transformations with Mark Wiley. Mark Wiley is Sifu Russ's Eskrima teacher,
Okay.
as well as his Wuzu Kwan Sifu. And so Mark Wiley used to be an editor for Tuttle Press.
Oh.
And now he has his own publishing company called Tambuli Media. So look up Tambuli Media because he's got some great books out. But I was reaching out because we've got so many people that are coming in on our show.
Yeah.
And Owen and I are nine to five guys. We don't have time to get everybody that we want to. And Fran was somebody that will eventually get on the show. And I had talked to Russ, and he's like, "Well, you need to get a hold of Mark. I think he's looking for a boxer for the show." And so I introduced Sifu Mark Wiley and Russ, or not Russ, Fran.
Okay.
And so there's a podcast of Mark Wiley's transformations with Fran Sands, and to hear his story is absolutely positively worth your time.
Very cool. Very cool. I'll definitely check that out. Right on. Hey, before we cut it, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to your school, your podcast, whatever else you got going on in the world. Let the world hear it.
Sure. So I'm Randel Davis, spelled strange, Randel Davis, Randel Davis. My school is Red Forest Chinese Boxing. Red like the color, forest like the trees, Chinese like the amazing people and food, and then boxing like marvelous Marvin Hagler. You can find me on all forms of social media. Once a month, I go down to Denver and teach at 5280 Shaolin. So get a hold of them. Find out next time I'm teaching is March 1st, which is a Sunday. So I should be down there from 1 to 3. And the first lesson's free, and then after that, it's a $20 drop-in fee, so super affordable.
Wow.
And then the podcast is Kung Fu Conversations with my co-host, my Xingyi instructor and my Bagua instructor, Owen Schilling. And you can find us on all platforms and all social media. And we are a bi-weekly podcast, not a weekly, but we are a bi-weekly podcast. And then if we do interviews, we usually drop the Spotify episode first, on a Friday. Every Friday we drop a show, and then the following Friday we'll drop the YouTube episodes. So Kung Fu Conversations, all social medias. And thank you for your support of the show, Dustin.
Hey,
we super appreciate you.
The shirt is awesome. I love it. It's
awesome.
It's great. Yeah. It's cool. I've got lots of comments on it. I wore it to work the other day, so it was cool.
Good to hear, my friend.
Yeah.
Good to hear. So the other thing too is we'll have to maybe a couple more times before I see you in person. Hopefully, we'll try to do an online.
That would be awesome if we could do that. That way, I could be your crash test dummy.
Sounds good.
During the lessons.
Get you all healed up.
Yeah, will do, sir. Thank you very much, friends. That's the end of the show. We have websites, social media, all of that could be found at Formless Pod. You can email us at formlesspod@gmail.com. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
We did it. It's official.